to continue where we left off in the last tutorial in creating this metal electronics control box. And so we're going to add a couple more features to the box, but before we do that, I've made some edits to my box off camera. And so those edits include the sketch of the base flange changing. So these are the dimensions that I'm using. It doesn't have to be exact, it's really just sort of baseline measurement for the sizing. And the miter flange has changed, so if I go to the sketch of the miter flange, you're going to see I've made it 100 high, 25 over, 15 and 15. And that sketch, as I mentioned in a previous video, is on this face. Other additions I've made is if I go to the sheet metal parameters, I've changed my radius to be 1 millimeter and the thickness to be 2 millimeters. It's really just a theoretical dimension. In real life, you have to go to your bend tables to get the correct estimates, but I just have this as a reference for now. Just for this example, I just set it to be 1, and this is going to be 2 for the thickness. We're not going to be using a bend table in this example, so this gauge table, it's not going to be selected. And so from here, what we want to do in the creation of the box is we want to create a hole or two for our exit cables, and then we also want to create a hole for the hinge. And so to do that, I'm going to simply create a sketch. The miters themselves, they can't really be altered the way that an edge flange is altered. So I'm just going to create a sketch on this face. And I'm just going to create a few circles for the bottom. And I'm going to select the center point of the circle and the origin, and I'm going to make them vertical with each other. I'm also going to make the 3 center points of the circles horizontal. And I'm also going to select the 3 circles, and I'm going to make them all equal, which is going to make all the diameters the same. So this is basically the result you should have, and you can see that the circles can slide, they all move together. I can set a dimension between these two, and I'm just going to make it, let's say, 75. And I'm going to set the same dimension for these 2 circles between the center here and the ends, and I'm going to click here to make it 75 millimeters. And for the diameter, I'm going to set this to be, let's say, 40. Right here, 40 millimeters. And so from here, we're almost done. We just need to constrain it in this direction. So from here, I'm just going to set a dimension, again, from the origin. And that's going to be 40 millimeters. And if I'd like, instead of taking it from the origin, I could actually take it from the base of the part. So I can click on the bottom line, convert the entities, and I can create a smart dimension here. And if any of this is new to you, I definitely recommend looking at a beginner's tutorial in Solidworks. I have some good Solidworks tutorial videos, or if you want to look at someone else's tutorial videos, just to understand basic sketching rules. If you want to check out my video, then look at part 3 of the beginner training series, where we go over sketching. So we're here with our 3 circles. And so I can go to my sheet metal tab, and I can just create a cut, an extruded cut here. So I'm going to click on extruded cut, and I'm going to select my 3 circles. And I'm going to come up here and click on link to thickness, right here. And when I click on link to thickness, it's going to automatically link the value of the thickness of the sheet metal to this cut. So I'm going to hit OK. And you're going to see that the 3 holes have been created. And so we want to create 2 more holes here for the hinge. So I'm just going to come up here and save this first. I'm going to start a sketch actually on the front plane. And I'm going to go here to the top, display style, make it wireframe, so that I can see through the part. And now I can come up here and create a circle and just lay it about here. And you can see that it's in line with this wall right here. And that's the wall where we want to create our circular cut. So I'm going to have to convert a couple of entities here. I'm going to convert this line and this line. And I know it's a little bit hard to see from my screen, but you can see that these 2 lines were projected. I'm going to make them for construction. And if we look at it from here again, you can see that I've converted basically the wall. So let me show you in shaded with edges. I took this line and this line, and the reason why I did that, why I took these 2 lines, is because I want to show the area that I'm going to be cutting into. So now that I have these 2 lines, I can create a dimension between the 2 lines. So I can set a dimension here, drag it out, and I'm just going to hit OK. And so now I could create a dimension from the center of the circle out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this value, and then I'm going to do / divided by 2, or /2, which is divided by 2, and hit OK. And you're going to see that that places my circle directly in the middle, between these 2 lines. So there are a lot of ways to do that step. This is the way I chose to do it. I know that there are better ways. I could have drawn a line between them, but for now we're going to leave it at that. And so from here, I'm going to create one more dimension between the end point of the line and the center of the circle. And I'm going to set this to be, let's just say 15, and we'll see how it looks once the cut is done. And I'm going to set a dimension here for the diameter of the circle to be, let's say, 0.1875 inches. We'll see what that looks like. So that's a good hole size, but I'm going to bump it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too large where it's cutting into the wall, but I also don't want it to be too small where the rod that we're going to fit inside is not sized largely enough. So you kind of have to sneak up on it. I'm just going to set it at 7.5 millimeters for this example, and I'm going to create an extruded cut here underneath the sheet metal tab. And I can come down under direction 1, I can do through all both, and that's going to cut all the way through. Now I don't want to cut all the way through, I really just want to cut through this wall, and I want to cut through this wall. So to do that, I can come back here and I can do a blind cut. And I can actually do up to surface. So if I choose to do up to surface, then I can select the back side of this face. Now the tricky part about that is, you can't see it because it's hidden inside here. So I'm actually going to exit out of this first, and I'm going to cut the part in half so I can see it better. So if you see what I just did, I came up here where it says section view. So click on section view, And by default, it's going to choose this front plane. You can actually come up here where it says section 1, and you can click on top plane or right plane. And then this right plane is what we want. We want to cut the part so we can look on the inside wall here. So that's okay. I'm going to hit OK. And now I can go back to my cut extrude up here. And I can select this wall right here. So I'm going to do up to surface, and I'm going to click on the back wall. And that's my direction 1. And I'm going to click here on direction 2, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I want to go up to surface, and I'm going to click on this surface. And so with these two things selected, I'm just going to hit OK. And we're going to see that the cut has been made.